Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Al Getler here, Al Getler Live. Today is social media day. So we're going to have an expert on with us in a few minutes and talk about social media and the things you should be thinking about as you embark on your social media journey. So many of us do. So many of us are constantly adjusting. There's constant change, but it's really noisy. It's super noisy out there in social media land. So it's nice to have someone who's a guide. And I think that person is here today joining me. Typically, I give you the weather report. I'm happy to say here in Vermont, northern Vermont, where I am, it is actually sunny out today. That's the good news. The bad news is we just went out on our walk, our trail walk, and it was -8, feels like chill, and in the 20s. So look, you take the sunshine, you don't necessarily get the temperatures to go with it. And our poor little dachshund couldn't quite do the journey, so I had to carry him part of the way. So anyway, that being said, we got started here. Let's go ahead and start the countdown, and we'll bring our guest on in just a moment. Well, welcome back. Today we have a guest who's going to help us rise above the noise. In fact, rising above the noise is what she preaches, what she talks about when it comes to social media. She's a part of the group that I'm a part of that's related to LinkedIn. We are at LinkedIn Live right now, so shout out to all of our contacts. Her name is Susan Finn. I'm going to have her join us right now. We're going to talk a bit about Susan's take on rising above the noise of social media. Hey, Susan.
Hey, Al, that music was so energizing.
Isn't that? You're doing my aerobic dancing. You didn't see it. I was off camera.
Same over here. Little jumping jacks, getting the energy going, flowing.
I'm such a liar. I know. Well, it's good to see you. And Susan, you and I know each other, as I have often mentioned here, that we're part of this Friday morning group that gets together on Zoom. Most of us met through LinkedIn, led by Alan Langer, who was my guest yesterday. And I've gotten to know you over that time. Always a pleasure. And it's really fun, kind of birds of a feather flock together type of folks. And I know we all have a lot of the same values. In fact, I was just saying before we got on the live stream, over your right shoulder, you have a copy of Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller and J.J. Peterson. Great book. I use the theory constantly everywhere but my own personal website, because who's got time for that? But yeah. So good stuff. So Susan, give us the Susan Finn story. Tell us a bit about yourself, where we are talking to you from, and we'll dive into your subject.
Thanks, Al. Yeah, and I agree. I have to give a shout out to our Play Don't Pause group that meets on Friday. I've learned so much. I'm addicted to learning, as so many people are, and it's easy to get lost in all of the things, right? I want to do this and I want to do that. And what's been wonderful about meeting with the like-minded people that you talked about is that, everybody has similar functions, right? We're all kind of marketing, as anybody who has a business has to market their own business or do marketing, but to show up for each other. So I didn't start in marketing, though. You and I were talking, and I actually started in food science. Years ago, I got my degree in food science. I was a quality control manager for HP Hood Milk. And what I learned about what I do now and how it's connected to what I did as a quality control manager is that it's all about kind of seeing what the systems are in order to get milk into your refrigerator safely. It's got to go from the farm to the process, right? Like all the things. So it's all the processes. And so to show up in as a business owner, to show up and shine your light on the work that you do, same thing. It's the processes.
Right. And I'm so jealous of your career with Hood because I envision quality control, like you get to lick every 3 fudge pop that goes by, or try a little half and half in my 20th cup of coffee, being from a newsroom and having, drank coffee all day. Only Hood half and half, as I described to you.
Yes.
I am part of a split household here. I drink Hood. My wife does not. So, we're not gonna hold that against her, but an iconic Boston area firm too. So you make this leap from quality control manager. What was the first leap you made from that to what came next?
Well, I had to leave the dairy industry because at that time I had 4 kids in my home. My kids were in my home, and my mom had a car accident and she got a brain injury and spinal cord injury in Florida. Flew her up here, had to care for her, my 4 kids. Then my nephew moved in with me. So there was no way that I could continue to travel into Boston, work the dairy industry, which is really a 24/7 industry.
Yeah.
And kind of opened myself up to what's next. At that time, it was a lot of having to work a business around family. So I started creating custom tote bags. A truckload of fabric came my way, and I said, all right, if this is what's coming my way, I'll take it. And took the fabric, learned how to sew, got myself a good sewing machine, and started a business. And then
wait a minute, the fabric fell from the sky. What do you mean? Yeah, you just I don't want to have you to dwell a lot on the past, but what does that mean?
So when you open yourself to possibilities, right?
Yeah.
When you're like, okay, what's next? And you go, anything that comes my way. My good friend Irene worked for a textile design company. Okay. And they had all of these samples in their storeroom, but they needed the storeroom for something else. And the dumpster was coming, and they were going to take all of these gorgeous pieces of fabric. It's all upholstery fabric. It was gorgeous. I'm looking at some pieces in my room. And it was all going in the dumpster. So first of all, shame to waste. And second of all, I was like, all right, this must be my opportunity. And the kids all helped me get it into the car, and I organized everything. I had a barn at the time, so created a little storeroom, and people could come and pick out their fabrics, and I would create custom tote bags. That went into creating memory quilts out of people's clothing, which was a lot of fun. So, and then I had a birthday party business. So it was all the things that I could fit in and around my family.
Yeah.
But it also, right? So then it was like, all right, but now you need a website. Yeah. And now you need to do some email marketing, which is kind of new at that time. Yeah. And you can't do it alone. So how do you build your community to help you do all of this? So to answer all the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so that was the thing right back then was I met with a couple of people at my dining room table. They had small businesses, and it was like, how do you do this? And how do you get a tax number? And how do you do the things? And that was so much fun. We're like, let's do this again. And the next week we had 6 people, then 12, then 24, then 48. It became the Women's Business Network of Southeastern Massachusetts. And it was a thing, and it was a board, and we had meetings, and we were rising together in whatever way we all had possible at the time. And
that's incredible.
Right. Wow. And it's similar to what we do on Fridays. It's similar to all the networking groups that are out there now, where if you show up in service to each other in a non-competitive way, and you learn from each other, and you tie your boats together, then all your boats are going to rise together. Exactly.
Yeah. It's so, I talk about that. I feel like I say these things every day, but the networking piece of it. I mean, you've got to build your network. And I'm not sure if you had a chance through our group to talk to the South Virginia students yet at South Virginia University in Newport, but, I mean, that was the thing I hit them with. Network. And I just had a college senior from there reach out to me and say, your company hiring? So of course I'm going to talk to her this afternoon. Why would I not? Just to find out what her aspirations and goals are. So, but like you say, your business network, your women's business network. Now, is that still existing today? Has it moved on with somebody else running it, not you?
Somebody else is running it, right? I was the director for 12 years. And when people ask me, what is your legacy, right? Like, what do you want? Of course, my kids, my husband, our relationship, that would, of course, be number one. But in my professional life, having created this opportunity for women to connect and to learn from each other and build lifelong relationships while they were building revenue streams from themselves. And I find that even in the work I'm doing now, I'm still a human collector. I'm a human collector and a human connector. I just want to know everybody's story. And when I know your story or I learn something about you, I'm going to probably connect you with 2 or 3 other people who can help you along your path. Once you've shared your goals with me, I probably know somebody who can help you along. And that's what I just enjoy doing. It's my legacy.
Yeah, you're a connector. And connectors are, I don't know which survey it is. I think it may be DISC or one of those personality surveys, but you're considered a connector. You bring people together that all need things. And I think people like you, if someone says, gee, I have a pipe that broke, you're like, okay, three plumbers in the phone, how to get stuff done. So that's incredible. And, you didn't mention where you're calling or where you're on the meeting today that we're having, or I'm sorry, the live stream we're doing today. Where are you located? You don't have to give us your exact address, Susan, but kind of where are you?
I am now in Westport, Massachusetts, on the corner of Rhode Island. If you got beautiful South Coast. We just moved here 3 years ago from Easton, Massachusetts. And
beautiful. Yeah, Easton's beautiful too. But
Easton is beautiful. Yeah.
But you're by the water, so that's fun.
10 minutes from Horseneck Beach and Gooseberry Island. So beautiful.
That's great. That's absolutely awesome. So Susan, let's get into it. Your website, which I'll pop up here, talks a lot about rising above the noise. And I'm just going to read, we guide heart-centered entrepreneurs to manage their online marketing so they attract more prospects and grow their business. So you're talking, I see the word, heart on there. I see the word, basically, you're mining for what it is that people are and not so much even what they want to become, but what they are. And you mentioned story, which of course that book behind you we just mentioned. Story is such an important part of that. So just give me 60 seconds on what it is that you do with a client when they reach out to you.
So it's when I say heart-centered, it's a lot of service-based professionals, and many times the people that I am attracting, who I would say are maybe heart-centered or service-based, are aggressively humble, and they don't want to show up as selly, and they're getting bombarded by social media, and they're feeling like they're not enough and they're not doing enough. And it is my honor to be able to give them the systems to put together so that they can show up and shine the light on themselves in a way that feels generous, in a way that says, you don't get to be humble. You don't get to be aggressive. You can be humble, but you can't hide. You can't hide and still be in service to the people that you're here to help.
Sure. Yeah, and that's an important point, right? Because really, social media tends to be considered me, right? I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's the reward is the me. TikTok is the latest example of the me. My daughter was talking the other day about a drink at Dunkin' Donuts, the Charlie, which I had not heard of before. Are you aware of this?
No.
This is a drink that's named after a social media star who's probably about my daughter's age, 17, 18 years old. Dances, does beauty things on TikTok, and so famous that Dunkin' Donuts has named a drink after her, which, by the way, the medical group says don't have too many of those in the course of a week as they're jam loaded with sugar. But that all being said, it's a me society with that. And your idea of it, I'm going to put it up on the screen here. You say that really social media can be an act of service. So what's your philosophy of that? What do you mean by social media being an act of service?
Yeah, I really do feel that way. I'm going to tell you a story. So I worked with a parent coach. And when we first got started together, it was, I don't like social media. I don't like feeling selly. And then we were like, well, let's put together an email situation. And she was like, I just don't want to bother people in their email. Now, what I know about this particular parent coach is that she went into people's homes when that was a thing, and would work with the child, would work with the parents, would work with the family to help a child, whatever they were whatever problems they were having with their children. And I knew that if those parents could feel calmer and more in control, if that child could feel more settled and loved and supported in their home, the child would then go to school and be a better student and a better friend. The child would grow up and graduate high school and go to college and be a good friend. The child would get a great job, get in a good relationship, have children of their own, and also be a good parent and a spouse and a good neighbor. And if this parent coach could internalize that possibility, the ripple effect of the work that she's doing, then I think that she would understand how important it was that she would show up in somebody's email on a regular basis in a very generous and resourceful way, in a way that kept giving information and giving tips. And I understand how you feel, and here's how that you can help this. And to keep giving and to use email marketing, social media, same thing. I'm focusing more on email marketing now because social media is a little bit chaotic. And I feel like email marketing is something you control. You control the conversations, you control give. And I do get that a little bit of pushback. Like, Susan, if I'm sharing it all on email, if I'm sharing all my content, social and email, why would anybody ever hire me? But they don't need the information. The information's already out there on Google. You can look up anything, but they need you. And if you're not showing up, if you're not that angel in the inbox, then you are not being in service. That's my soapbox.
Yeah, but that and I love what you said about email too, because it's kind of interesting. We've had the love affair, the hate, the back and forth with email. The bottom line is, though, if you are in my inbox, you're in a very personal place. Okay, if I've allowed you into my inbox, you're in a very personal place. And it's bizarre how we are with our emails, right? I mean, sometimes there's stuff that hits us every day we don't even open, but we just like to see it. We like to know it's there. And then there's the messages that you're talking about where we can use email as a very direct communication to people. And as you say, rise above the noise. And the last thing I like about email is that if you don't want to hear it, you can unsubscribe. And
correct.
Yeah. And we used to see as unsubscribing as a horrible thing, but talk a bit about unsubscribing and what that means to the average marketer or business and why it's a good thing.
Well, you want to keep your list clean. You want to speak to the people who need to hear your message. So if somebody unsubscribes, they don't need to hear your message, and that's fine. You know what? I admire people who are at inbox zero, and good for you if I'm not serving you. Or I have had people, and actually I've done this as well, that I'm following on other socials. And if I were an inbox zero person, which I'm not, I'm an inbox 37,000 person. But if I were an inbox zero person, I would say, you know what? I'm following you on LinkedIn, or I've got you set for notifications on Facebook, which is where I'm consuming most of my content. I'm inbox zero. I'm going to, take this off for now. It's again, an act. If somebody unsubscribes, that's great. I would, though, take a look at your unsubscribes. If you know where the person came from, if you're doing any of the tagging or segmenting, you might want to see if you start getting a lot of unsubscribes, if your lead generator wasn't quite correct, or however they got on your list. They got on your list and were not receiving exactly what they expected. So you do want to make sure that when people get on your list, that you're giving them exactly what you promised when they gave you that very personal bit of information, their email, right? They allowed you in their email. It's really like somebody coming into your home and saying, here, come in my home, but make sure you take off your shoes and give me, I'm using a bad example, but that.
No, I completely get it. But specificity is really what it's all about. I mean, when people are looking for something from you, if you get off that rail, I mean, that's the hardest time that I have with really what I am online and what I do, because I've had several careers. I do lots of media things, and I hear what you're saying. So, what I heard you say, though, too, and I'll throw this on the screen, that really, social media is kind of drinking through the fire hose versus the scale of being in the inbox and getting the message to person directly. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
And the other difference I feel is because I do spend a lot of my clients are on Facebook, so I do spend time in Facebook but I have a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm going in there, a lot of people go in without a strategy and they're like, I'm here because somebody told me I should be here, right? They're shooting all over themselves. And so when you go in
You
without
said they're
strategy,
shooting. All right. I had to stop myself for a second.
right? That's so hard when you're like, I should be doing this, or, oh, she's doing it so much better than I am, or he's got it right and I don't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a lot of imposter syndrome, but
Oh, that's so hard. I mean, it's really so hard. In fact, our guest on Thursday is going to be Casey Jones, and she gave a great presentation on that the other day, which will be part 2 of really, what we do online as a story. But I think that's incredible that you mentioned that, because it is so hard. So you have a system for what you do. You call it the Rise Above the Noise system. Is that right?
Rise Above Noise system. Yes.
Can you tell me about that a little bit?
So it's basically the 5 parts of creating a marketing or digital marketing system so that you don't go into, let's say, social media and go, what am I going to do today? Like, you really know. So the step 1 is getting your messaging right. Who do you help? What problem are you solving? What is your why, your mission? And so once you have that, when you know who you're speaking to and exactly what the heart pull is there, why is somebody going to be pulled to you? What's the solution you are providing for that person? That's step number 1, and that is where everything else can flow.
Right.
Step number 2 is, they're not even steps. They're not necessarily sequential, although I do say that part is so integral to everything else. Then you want to be able to create compelling content. And what is that? That is, and that's the other book I have over here with Marcus Sheridan's book, is They Ask You Answer. Answer all of the questions. If you do nothing else but make a list of frequently asked questions and keep those as a repository, you will never get sucked into that vortex on social media about what should I post today. You've got it already. Just keep that list. You don't have to answer them right away, but know that you already have all the answers. You do not have to look anyplace else, but it's a matter of getting a system to go with it. Mm-hmm. The third part is to have proof of concept. So you want to be able to collect and use your testimonials and have some good case studies about the problems you solve, how they were solved, and what the experiences were of the people who had that.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah. I love that. I love that step. We'll pause for a second, say hello to somebody who popped in. And by the way, folks, if you are watching us on your chosen platform, you can comment and say hello. And here's Patrick Tinney. Patrick, we've got to get you on here someday real soon. Patrick has a new book that came out, and we need to get him on here. But he makes a statement: don't chase dead money. Has to be in the market live money. Meaning, when you get that story figured out too, when you are reaching out to people, if it is a business, which I'm assuming you're not going to go all this trouble to not make some money, you got to figure out too that it's what people want. Is that a correct statement? And to Patrick's point?
Well, yeah.
It makes total sense. Absolutely makes total sense.
Yeah, because why would you try to sell if there isn't anybody buying your product?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like I say, and I'm a self-proclaimed figuring that out still what the product even is. And I'm on that journey, which is kind of fun. I mentioned to one of my guests last week, I had a guy from Queens, New York, write to me on my Facebook page and say, what can I buy from you? That's all he said, and I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting, that what can I buy from you? I mean, I think I learned from Alan Langer and his daughter yesterday. I probably need to come up with an Al mug. There's a Spider-Man mug, but or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it?
It is, and that's a big part of it. And actually, I'm getting help from a processes coach, Kathleen, getting help putting together what do my packages look like. Now that I have a bead on, all right, who it is that needs this, how can I show up in service to them and make it super clear, right? That's another Donald Miller thing. Like, what button do they need to push to buy from me? They're
Yeah.
all ready. They're primed and ready. Where are they going? And
Yeah.
so that would be like, even in the, if I continue with the rise above noise system, like the fourth part is how do you organize, right? Like, how do you put your content together in a way that is super easy for people to consume? And then how do you create systems for yourself so that it just flows? And that's a sticky part. That takes a little bit of work. And of course, the pinnacle of the rise above noise is keeping in touch. And it's all the things. It's writing direct messages. It's writing snail mail. It's doing I already said direct messages, making phone calls if that's your thing, sending cards. And of course, I focus on email marketing, as I mentioned before, because it just feels generous to me.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what's interesting? It struck me as you were just speaking about things to do, right? And in the years that I've been in media, selling advertising, both everything from print to broadcast to digital, most people did not get into the business that they're in, to be a marketing expert. Most people did not get into business to build a website, to build a sales funnel, to figure out how to, launch emails and all that stuff. But yet you're offering a system here that helps people at least step back and figure it out. Because I think, and you probably will agree, even if you decide to hire someone to help you do that, you got to understand it first before you jump, full bore into that. Don't you agree with that?
I so do agree with that. One of the things that I do when I work with people, particularly on their nurture sequences or their welcome email sequences, is I make sure they understand it, because that way they can look and see, understand what's a click-through rate. Why is click-through rate more important than open rate? And now they can see the results of it. They'll know how to tweak it. Like, where are people dropping off? Where are people spending more time reading and consuming your content? And so that you can create more of that, and then maybe create other sequences. So they always get a tutorial, a recorded tutorial at the end with worksheets and templates, so that they can do it again on their own, or they can, of course, hire me to do it again.
Yeah, that's great. No, I love what you put together here, and it really does require so much thought. And back to your story, right? Knowing your story, what you are, who you are. I always gravitate towards plumbers and HVAC people, but even in a situation like that, there's a story. In it is a story. It's maybe your customer service. It's maybe how you got into your business. It's maybe the belief that you have about your business. But every profession, everything out there has a story. I remember I built a website once for a millwork company, which I didn't even know what millwork was. And it's when you build cabinetry, right? Either for the home or for the office. And it's actually quite extensive. But, when I remember sitting down with that gentleman and talking about his story, he couldn't believe we were going there, and he was going to talk about his dad and all that. And I said, look, that's what makes you different. That's what makes you different than the big giant place, maybe 150 miles up the road, So it's really kind of interesting. And I appreciate you're bringing that out today. So just to kind of recap, we're saying, that social media, it can be an active service, that, it can be a fire hose versus scale. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're a fan of scale.
I'm a fan of having a system so that you don't spend all the time.
You got a phone call already. People couldn't wait.
Oh my gosh, Susan, I need you now.
Yeah, and that's your system of rise above noise system. Is that
that's right?
That system. Yeah,
yes.
Well, that's pretty incredible. And I hope people will reach out to you at riseabovenoise.com. You do have a resource there that's available, correct?
I do. The one that I have on there now, it's like you were saying, like, you look at your own website and you're like, oh, maybe I should tweak that a little. I have a digital marketing assessment on there, which is my nurture sequence. You can go over there. I will go into the live later and put another resource, because what I mentioned before about frequently asked questions, I always say, if there's one thing you take away from speaking with me, is that you already know everything. You don't need to go out and look for anything else. And if you start keeping track of your frequently asked questions and you go to your website and you find them even more that you don't think about right away, and then you start asking people, hey, do you have any questions about what it is that I do? Frequently asked questions and how to use them on your website to increase search optimization, answer your visitors' questions, and make sure that they're guiding your, the visitor journey is that they get on a call with you or sign up for your email list. That's always got to be the things.
That's great. Now, I know, when we did the pre-interview kind of discussion back and forth via email, you had some stuff in the, as Donald Miller would call it, the junk drawer at the bottom of the website, right? But it's not junk at all. It's your, one of your passions. You raise German Shepherd puppies?
I do. I have a beautiful black German Shepherd. She's not with me right now. She's downstairs guarding. She's gorgeous. She's all black with a long coat, and my family made me get a dog. Well, I wanted one, but finally pushed me because I was doing a lot of hiking on my own. Yeah. And I was like, well, all right. And then we bred her twice with a world champion stud. And we had 2 gorgeous litters with her. And that was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. And man, it is not easy to give those guys up once they get to that 8-week age. I can imagine. Yeah, we've always had rescues that are, that are neutered when we bring them into the house. But my wife Nancy has helped at least one friend, with the birth process of 8-10 hours that she was there, and it's just incredible stuff. So so that's cool. And then the one last thing I want to talk about, which I'm because, as you can see, I love talking about superpowers. Right? Yes. You told me you have a superpower. What is your superpower? My superpower, Al, is that I am calm. I am calm. And the more aggravated or upsetting or energetic the situation is, the calmer I get.
Wow.
And so the way that I use that at home, of course, is when the kids would be fighting or whatever. And so that would put me in and I would stand there and I would raise an eyebrow and try to bring the energy down. And they would be like, stop yelling, Mom. I'm like, seriously? I really just raised an eyebrow. You're going to have to get over yourself because this is all you. Don't kill each other, but you're going to have to get over this. But the way that I use it with my clients is that it can I know, I get it. Digital marketing can feel overwhelming.
Oh my gosh.
And chaotic, right? That fire hose thing. And I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I don't understand how they all come together. And my superpower, calm, is to bring you down and show you just what you need to know. When you're ready, you learn more. But let's just, let's take a quick look at your analytics, see what a conversion page looks like, just so you know. Here's where you're bringing people. You want them to get on your list or whatever. Yeah.
That's great. That
was a good question. Thank you for that one.
Absolutely. In fact, in the Marvel universe, I would be your arch enemy because calm is the last thing that I am. If I brought my wife in here right now to tell you, that's just
really
family crest. No, it's I had a dad that everything started up here, So so you bring that into your adulthood, but I always admire people who can be calm. But at the same token too, as a leader, when things are the roughest is where my calmness comes in, where things are, I've been in a business for a long time where big things happen. There's lots of deadlines and we've got to do first things first. So that's where the calm hits me, and that's important to remember in life, that not being calm in those situations doesn't really help. And now that in the latter part of my life, I've become trained as an EMT and a firefighter. I've learned what calm really does mean in those situations. So I admire your superpower. I also admire, by the way, your white frame glasses. They're very cool.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, listen, Susan, before I let you go, let's throw some more information back up there for people. So Susan Finn, Rise Above the Noise. You can go to her website, riseabovenoise.com. There she will have some resources for you. You can learn about the Rise Above Noise system and hear a lot more about that. I have a feeling this is not the last time we'll hear from Susan here on the live streams. And for those of you that are joining us too, where to find us, if you'd like to see Susan's interview in its entirety, wherever social media platform you're on right now, this will obviously repeat when we're done. But you can also go to YouTube and search Susan's name, or Facebook, and then here on LinkedIn Live. So there's lots of platforms to do that with. Susan, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Al, I am so very, very grateful. Thank you so much. I didn't get to see any ventriloquism though today.
No, not today. Now you caught me off guard, and I'm all embarrassed. But we'll do it another time. Absolutely, yeah. Good deal. Well, listen, I'm going to put you in the green room there, if you will, and we'll say a proper goodbye in a minute. But I'm going to say goodbye to the audience, and we'll do that. Thank you, Susan. Take care. Bye. Well, another incredible guest, and Susan is definitely has that calming effect. But I love her system. I love her background. To me, these backgrounds of folks that are doing things like this, where Susan had this career with Hood and took time off for the family, but then has invented this, is just incredible. So I'm so glad you're here with me today. And tomorrow, let's see, what do we have tomorrow? Tomorrow, we're talking about SEO. The mystery of SEO. In fact, on our show, the web detective is going to be here. So if you have SEO questions, you want to be here for that. Thursday, a double header, not on LinkedIn Live, because LinkedIn Live we can only do once a day, but a double header in the morning. We have Joshua J. Gosh, if you have not seen this guy, he is a world-class magician. Put in Joshua J. The Tonight Show, Joshua J. Late Late Show with James Corden. In fact, that clip in particular, do your homework, get ready for Joshua to be here. Then that afternoon on LinkedIn Live and the other platforms, my second guest on Thursday is Casey Jones. You might want to check out her website. It is abetterjones.com, abetterjones.com. Great name for a website. And Casey will be here. Friday, we're taking off. And then right before the holidays, we got some special plans made up. I do have a guest on Monday. You're going to really want to be here for him. He's got a company that focuses on media and dealing with the media and having your message, not unlike what Susan just talked about. And then hopefully on Tuesday, just a very quick special holiday surprise with a few of my entertainment friends being here. So that'll be fun. With that, I want to thank you for being here today. My name is Al Getler. As I often put up here, if you want to reach out to me, al@algetler.com, please go ahead and do that. But until next time, we will see you here tomorrow. And I think we're on at about 2 o'clock, but we can double check that. You'll get the notification in your inbox. Thanks so much and take care.